Hello and welcome to Medical Dialogues, your daily dose of health and medical news. I am Dr. Priyanka Ahuja and today I will be discussing the effects of metformin and its outcomes in pregnancy in a recently published study. Metformin is the most common drug advised for monotherapy for type 2 diabetes mellitus due to failure of lifestyle modifications in all major guidelines and the most commonly prescribed drug for type 2 diabetes mellitus worldwide. No approved indication in pregnant women exists. Metformin is increasingly being used for the treatment of gestational diabetes (GDM). In women with polycystic ovary syndrome (PCOS), metformin is commonly prescribed off-label to improve anovulation and conception, with some evidence also suggesting decreased risk of adverse pregnancy outcomes if metformin is continued into pregnancy. Several studies have investigated the association between metformin and fetal outcomes at birth, while diverse and analytic approach and study population results have indicated that metformin may be associated with low risk of being large for gestational age. A recent study published in BMJ Open Diabetes Research and Care aimed to investigate if maternal pregnancy exposure to metformin is associated with increased risk of long-term and short-term adverse outcomes in the child. Study was conducted in Finland, included singleton children born between 2004 to 2016 with maternal pregnancy exposure to metformin or insulin. 3,967 patients were given metformin only, 5,273 insulin only, and 889 combination treatment. The primary outcomes were long-term offspring obesity, hypoglycemia, diabetes, hypertension, polycystic ovary syndrome, and challenges in motor social development. In a sensitivity analysis, the primary outcomes were investigated only among children with maternal gestational diabetes. Secondary outcomes were adverse outcomes at birth. Analyses were conducted using inverse probability of treatment weighing with insulin as reference. Study found that exposure to metformin or combination treatment versus insulin was not associated with increased risk of long-term outcomes in the main or sensitivity analysis. Among the secondary outcomes, increased risk of small for gestational age (SGA) was observed for metformin. Increased risk of large for gestational age, preterm birth, and hypoglycemia was observed for combination treatment. No increased risk was observed for neonatal mortality, hypoglycemia, or major congenital anomalies. Study concluded that no increased long-term risk associated with pregnancy exposure to metformin alone or in combination with insulin. Compared with insulin, the increased risk of small for gestational age (SGA) associated with metformin versus insulin suggests caution in pregnancies at risk fetal undernutrition. The increased risks of adverse outcomes at birth associated with combination treatment may reflect confounding by indication or severity. That's all for today. Stay tuned to Medical Dialogues for latest updates.
Never miss a medical update from Medical Dialogues. Like, subscribe, and press the bell icon.